Hey friends, happy August! Welcome back to another subscription box tutorial. My name's Emma Lefave, and today we're going to be painting this beautiful lake sunset kind of cottagey theme. So let's open up our boxes, see what we got inside, and then start painting. Okay friends, happy August. I can't believe we are more than halfway through the year already. For our August box, as you can see, we are doing a landscape. So let's open the box and see what we got this month. Okay, so to start, here is the card. This only has half of the painting. There is more of a, not a landscape format, but a portrait way of painting it. But this is kind of a glimpse of what part of it's gonna look like. For our brushes this month, we have a size 12 angle brush and then a 4 round. Our colors this month are Prussian blue, light red, lamp black, and cadmium yellow. And our free gift this month is painter's tape. We are going to be using this for today's project to get that really nice crisp edge. And then of course we have our watercolor paper. So now that we know what's in the box, let's get to know our supplies. Okay, so now that I have my new colors in my palette, I have rinsed off my brushes. I've actually cut my paper in half so I can have half for the painting and then half for swatching and getting to know our brushes, and my 2 jars of water and paper towel, and we're ready to go. So we're gonna start by getting to know our colors and the mixtures. Okay, this one I will say was a tough box to kind of come up with a painting and the colors with what I had left over. It took a lot of work, but I'm actually really happy with how it came out. So we're gonna just start. I'm just grabbing my size 4 brush and we're just starting out by swatching the colors. So this is an interesting red. It's kind of a bit more on the opaque side. It's like a burnt red. And I was trying to think about what I could do with this color. And I thought, you know what, maybe if I mix it with yellow, I could get a nice sunset, which is what I went with. This box is very much, or the theme of this painting is very much inspired by summers at the cottage. Not like I have a cottage, but like cottages I've been to in my life. And I just wanted to kind of give off that really cozy sunset feeling while at a cottage in Ontario, which is where I am. So that's what I came up with. Here are our swatches. Our Prussian blue is a beautiful blue. And then we have black, which is going to be great for the foreground, for those shadows of the trees. So here are 4 colors swatched. Now, the 2 colors that we will definitely be mixing together mostly are the yellow and then the red for this sunset. So I have a bit of the yellow and then the red. And we get a bit more of an orangey color. I'm gonna grab a bit more yellow. Try and make it a bit brighter. Okay, so we can get this nice gradient from a yellow to a darker red for the sunset. And then obviously we don't need it for this painting, but you can make a beautiful green with the blue and then the yellow. So this painting actually is only a few colors. The only colors that we really mix are the yellow and the red. And everything else is pretty straightforward, but just for fun, you know, let's just try and mix around our colors, see what you can make with it. So you can make a variety of different greens with this. You can add more yellow, have it brighter, add more blue, have it darker. Let's try and add some red to it. You can get a brown. Ooh, that's an even nicer, darker green actually. Here, now we'll add more red. And we get this brown color. You can get so many different varieties of color with this, which is a lot of fun. But like I said, for this painting, you only need a few. It's a very limited palette for this. But I definitely encourage you to try and mix more colors to see what else you could paint with this. Once you're done this tutorial, you could definitely use it and paint many other paintings with these 4 colors. Just going to mix a little bit of the black and the yellow. You get kind of almost like this olive green, which is really cool. Okay, and then now that we kind of get the range of color that we can use with these 4 paints, let's play around with our brushes. So I was just using my size 4 round, which is pretty straightforward. I feel like the majority of us have used round brushes before. This brush is just really great for detail. Like, look at the point on this brush. It is so thin. Like, you can make this the thinnest lines, which is going to be great for our branches. But then you can also make these thicker strokes. This is more for the detail in our paintings. Okay, so this one is pretty straightforward. I chose an angle brush, a 12 angle brush, because we didn't really have an angle brush yet, but I also thought it'd be really great for the background. So you can grab, you know, a lot of your blue and just see how large of these washes you can make. It was really great to kind of lay down large washes. And then with an angle brush, it's just, I find sometimes it's easier to get in certain areas when you have a bit of an angle. But you can also use this to create, you know, like petals if you wanted to do some flowers, whatever you wanted to. You can just kind of play around with it. But always with your brushes, like I always say, see what kind of lines you can make, what kind of shapes, how big, how small, all of that. So we will be using this brush mostly for just to lay the background wash down. The one thing I will say about this box, which I had a lot of trouble with, when you look at the photo and you see this kind of sky, I was trying to get these like swoopy clouds in, and I found it really difficult with both of these brushes. I found this one was a little bit too big to get those swoopy skies in, and this one was just too small. So for this, what I'm gonna ask you to do, if you have a size 12 round or a size 10 round with you, doesn't have to be our brand if you haven't gotten them in the future or previous boxes, but if you have like a size 12 round, it's gonna be a lot easier to get those swoopy clouds in for this project. I did many versions of this painting. This one I feel like I did so many of because I just could not get it. So if you don't get it right away, please don't be down on yourself. It took me many attempts to kind of get this painting the way I wanted it to, okay? So don't get down on yourself. Grab a larger round brush and join me as we start our painting. Before we get started with the painting, I do want to let you know that I do try to fix a mistake that I make with this painting where I repaint the whole sky, but I left it in the video because I think it's really valuable to see how I fix mistakes or things that I don't like in my painting. Now let's get started. Okay, so now that we have gotten to know our materials, let's jump into this painting. So I have just taken this cardboard. Honestly, it's a backing of an Arches watercolor pad, so it's just easier to move it around. But if you want to tape it to your desk, by all means tape your paper to your desk. So I just took the painter's tape and I've taped off a really nice border. This is just half a sheet of paper, and we can start. So I'm going to start by taking my angled brush, and I'm just going to go and wet the background about halfway up to start. Okay, just halfway. And the amount of water that we want for this is enough that if we are to tilt it to the light, see that kind of shine? I'm trying to get that shine. There you go. That shine on the paper, the sheen. But you don't want it, if you were to tilt it, to kind of be dripping everywhere, okay? You want this nice light layer of water, and it just helps the colors blend a little bit together. Okay, now I'm going to take my yellow with my angle brush, and I'm going to apply it to the middle of the painting. Nice and bright, and I'm just going to go back and forth and start to bring it up just a little bit. I want it the brightest right where our horizon line is going to be. You can bring it down a bit too. And we really want to try and keep our painting wet as long as we can. Okay, so I'm just applying this right to the center. Okay, now I'm going to wash off my brush a bit. Actually, I think I'm going to wet up the whole thing. I'm going to wet up down here too. I'm taking a decent amount of water just because my office is really hot today. It's a very hot day outside, so everything's drying a lot quicker. So I just want to keep this as wet as possible as I can without it being crazy, crazy wet. Okay, so the whole thing's wet. Now I'm going to grab the red. I'm going to mix it in with a bit of the yellow I had, and I'm just going to start applying it to the middle there. That might be a little bit much, but that's okay. I'm going to bring some of it down here too because it's going to reflect in the water. Now I know this looks crazy. Okay, I'm going to dry off my brush here, and then I'm going to blend. Kind of blend that line in between the red and the yellow. You see that? I'm going to take a bit more, and I'm just going to start kind of bringing it in. Now, the tricky part is that we're going to be blending the red and the blue together, but we don't want to make this brown, okay? So we really want to separate it, and that's where it becomes a bit tricky. I'm just using a little bit of my brush here to kind of bring some of that red into the yellow a bit, okay? But the trick is to kind of lighten the red as it gets closer to the top of where we're going to put our blue, okay? So let's leave it like that. We can always add more. Now I'm going to grab my blue, my Prussian blue, and I'm going to start at the top and slowly bring it down to this white area. And as you slowly bring it down, it's going to get a little bit lighter in color. Okay, and I'm going to stop before it touches the red. Then I'm going to do the same thing at the bottom here. See how it's starting to mix there just a bit? I'm going to take off some of that color. Just blend it out a bit. Okay, I'm going to grab a bit more. This was honestly the trickiest part of this whole painting. Okay, I really don't want to mix it with our red right there. Okay, so now I'm going to switch brushes. This is where I'm going to switch brushes because this one is just a little bit too hard to maneuver around this. Okay, and I want to start mixing the blue into the red without them like mixing, but just kind of like a quick little blend so they're not so sharp. So I'm just going to grab a little bit of red here, and I'm just going to swoop in some clouds through the blue. Okay, if you do it too many times, it's going to get really muddy, which you don't want. Okay, and I'm just going to swoop some in here. Just a quick little swoop so you have that bright red without making it too blue. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? Actually, I think I wanted to make the yellow come down a little bit further. I'm going to take some of this yellow and just bring it down right into the red. I want it a little bit brighter down here. And you can mix a bit more red in there too, because I want this light reflected in the water. Okay, and it's mixing a little bit, and that's okay. It's getting a little muddy down here, but that's okay. It's the water. I'm gonna grab a bit more of my blue. I'm gonna bring it in here. A lot of this is gonna be rocks here, so don't worry too much about that. Okay, I'm just getting it a little bit darker. And I want it darker the higher up towards the sky it is. Again, I'm going to grab a bit more blue and I'm going to swoop it in. So we have these kind of like swoopy clouds. Just a swoop. I'm just kind of dragging it across the page quickly, okay? Don't want to do it over and over again. It will be too much. And that's where we can kind of go wrong. Again, I did this so many times, so if you have to do it a couple times, do it. It's all good, okay? And if you just do a one swoop, you're going to get more of that blue than you will of the muddy color. If you go over and over and over, it's going to get really muddy really fast. I'm going to wash it off. I'm going to grab some more of my red. I'm going to try and get some red swoops in there. That was a bit much. Oops. It's all good. Okay. Trying to relax with the swoops, but you know, sometimes it's hard. You overdo it. Just blend this out a bit. Bring some of that red upwards. And we will be having trees cover a lot of this, so don't worry. Just trying to bring that red down like that. Okay, now I'm going to grab a little bit of black add it in with my blue because I want it nice and dark up here. I'm gonna darken that sky towards the top a bit, and then the same thing down here. You're really just holding your brush on this angle and you're just swooping it across. Okay, so now I want to create some ripples in the water. So I want you to imagine, oops, that I didn't just drop water all over my paper right there, which I just did. It's fine. I'm going to wash dry off my brush. Swoop. Okay, we're good. The horizon line's about here. Okay, so we're going to have a piece of land kind of going across this bright yellow strip. And then from here down is the water. I want little bits of this blue wave, like ripples, to be in the water down here. So I'm going to take a little bit of this blue and my size 4, and I'm just going to bring in some little waves. Now, if you want to mark out kind of where that horizon line is, where the land is going to be, you can do that. It might actually be a better idea if you do that. Okay, and then we're just going to take little bits of blue, okay, and we're using our small brush, so we're not putting a ton of water on there and paint. And the closer the ripples are to the land in the background, the smaller they're going to be. Smaller and lighter they're going to be. The key to creating these waves, as well as the swoops in the sky, is using really light pressure with your brush as you drag it across. You don't want to use heavy pressure as you're creating any of these strokes. Okay, and then the closer they are to us, they're going to start getting bigger, like these ones, okay? And all I'm doing is this brush stroke where it's like a slight mountain. You don't want like a big peak like this. No, you can't see that. Like this. Right? You don't want this like big mountain peak. You want this flat peak. And as I'm kind of getting to the middle of the peak, I'm pressing down a bit more so it's a bit thicker and then tapering off. Okay. And then there's going to be trees over here, so we're not going to see too much. And then as we get further down, those waves are just going to be a little bit darker. So I'm just adding a little bit more black. That's a little bit too much. Blend it out a bit more. A little bit more blue. We don't need it super dark. Okay, and so the closer they are to us, the bigger they are. The further away they get, the lighter and the smaller they get. Okay, see that? And I'm doing it mostly to this side because we're going to have more trees coming on this side, like you guys can see in the picture. But you can always add it there if you want. Okay. Now, this is starting to dry, so I got to be careful what I'm adding where. This looks a little botched right there. So I'm just going to try and, I don't know, add a little bit of yellow. No, not yellow. Maybe a little bit of blue. This one area is bugging me. I love landscapes, but they are some of the toughest things to do. So I'm just gonna, I don't have a lot of water on there because if it's already starting to dry, if you add more water, it's gonna push all that pigment away and just kind of create those blooms. So I'm just trying to take a little bit. I just want a tiny bit in the sky of these dark clouds-ish things. Also trying to blend out this harsh line here. And it's okay if it's a little bit, you know, messy or dark. It doesn't have to be perfect. I feel like so many times, like this is just messed up right here. Love the rest of it. But sometimes it just gets a little messy and that's okay. Give yourself a little break. Okay, I need to stop because I feel like it's getting worse and worse. It's fine. Question is, do I fix it? What I can do, what I'm going to try and do, I have a clean damp brush. I'm just going to lift some of it. Okay, I'm going to try and go over that. What I can do is kind of wet the whole thing again. Oh my goodness. You guys are seeing this in real time, my friends. Okay, I'm redoing it. See how muddy it is there in the middle? We're going to fix this. I'm going to fix this. It was great until I kept going. I'm going to grab some paper towel. I'm going to lift all that color in the sky. Like this. Oh my goodness. What a mess. Okay, and I'm going to do it again. This is the real candid stuff that I don't always show, especially on YouTube. Okay, going yellow. I'm going to try and make this a bit better. Okay, bright. Then I'm going to grab my red in the middle. Swoop it into that yellow. Okay, there we go. Already better. Okay, grab our blue. Up in the sky. It's the blending that kills me. This is some of the hardest colors to blend, the blue and the red, because you really don't want that muddiness, but you get it with these colors. It's knowing when to stop, which is the hardest part. Okay. Okay, I feel like I need to stop. What do you guys think? Okay. Okay. How many times do you think I say okay? I'm gonna grab a little bit of blue, a little bit of black, make it a little bit darker up here. Bring it down. Like that. I think I need to stop. Okay, now I'm just gonna grab a little bit of red. Bring it down. Oh my gosh, and I keep dripping water too. And if it's like a little bit grayish, that's okay, right? That's okay. Okay. And this is where I need to stop. Okay, so now we're gonna let that dry. I hope you guys enjoyed that little adventure with me. And we will do some of the other parts when we get back. Okay, so now that it's dry, we can do, in my opinion, the easier part. Okay, so now we can do the land and the trees. So I'm actually going to take my larger brush just to get the land at the bottom, and I'm going to grab black, and I'm just going to use this to kind of create this uneven rocky land, and it's going to kind of come upwards up here. Grab a bit more and just fill the whole part in down here with black. Or you can use your size 12 if you'd like, if that's easier. Want it nice and dark. Try and make it uneven with the tips of this. Okay, there we go. And then we're gonna do the horizon line here where the land meets the water. So I'm just gonna go straight across. This brush is really great for doing that. Then you can kind of, again, just go make it a little bit uneven. We're gonna do some trees. We'll do the tops of trees at least. Like so. Okay, like that. All right, already looks better, right? Okay, so now I'm gonna grab my size 4 and I'm going to take the black and I'm just gonna do tiny little tops of trees here. Okay, and I'm just using the tip to kind of make these little points. It looks like there's a bunch of trees in the background. Just kind of dabbing my brush with the point upwards. Like that. All right. And then down here, we can do little blades of grass. Okay, and I'm just using my wrist to kind of flick these little blades of grass, kind of going different ways. If you want to do those, I don't even know what they are, little things. I have no idea what they're called. You guys can let me know. Okay. I've seen them in photos. Just a little flick, and then these fluffy bits. But try and make your wrist really relaxed and just flick. Really, really light pressure. Okay, and I'm just trying to deepen the darkness down here. You can do little rocks. Just trying to blend it in here. Okay. You can do a nice long one if you want. Up to you. Okay. So that's basically that. And now we can do the trees. So I want these trees to be a bit more bare. They're kind of like pine trees, but they're not super, super full. So again, we're just grabbing our black. And you can do 1 or 2. I did 2 in the photo, so I'm going to do 2 here. And I'm just going to do the trunk. So I'm going to come up here and I'm just going to bring it down. And it's kind of like on an angle. It's like a bent tree. Like that. And then right at the top here, I'm going to make it really thin, and we're going to have some branches kind of coming up like that. And the ones at the top are just kind of pointing up, and you're just doing this like light little branch, and then these tiny little kind of pine needles coming up. This brush is perfect for this part. I feel like my tree is really lopsided. It's kind of just like really bent over. That's okay. All right, we're gonna go with it, Emma. We're gonna go with it. It's fine. And we're just gonna continue creating these kind of like uneven branches. They're not perfect. Okay, and then they're gonna start to kind of fall a little bit. And I'm just dabbing. Kind of dabbing these little pine needles. They don't have to be perfect. They don't have to be, you know, completely accurate to real life. Some are going to be thicker, like there's clusters of them. But I want this tree to be a bit more like naked. I don't want it to be super full. And if you want to do other silhouettes of like different bushes, you could always do that. I feel like this needs to be a bit thicker. There we go. Have some kind of pointing down, some kind of coming out. Make it very loose. We have some short little branches, some kind of coming down, because that would be like it would be coming at us. You wouldn't see these long branches. You don't want it just kind of like this line, and then it's like to the side, 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 like this. That just looks weird. You want it staggered. You want maybe some parts are a little bit more bare, like you can leave like a big chunk, like right here, of space. Like why not? No tree is absolutely perfect. And this is, I feel, the most relaxing part of this painting. You can just kind of lay back and just work on your branches. They can be There can be as many or as little as you like. Okay, and now I'm going to do my second one. This one will probably be a bit more straight, maybe a bit shorter. Just making it a little bit thicker here. And then again, we're just starting with the top where they're starting to point upwards. And then slowly they'll start to point downwards. And again, you want that asymmetrical kind of look. You don't want it to be the exact same on both sides. And see, now our sky, like, you don't see too much of it, so it's not like it matters exactly how it looked. I definitely could have gotten away with not going through all that trouble before. Although that part I didn't like was like right here, so maybe it would have bugged me. But now you just got a front row seat of how I fix my mistakes, or if I don't like something, how I kind of go about that. So hopefully that part of the video was valuable to you. You can always add more grass, more rocks, whatever you want to in this silhouette. Like so. And if this starts to lighten up a bit, once you're done, if you want to just go over it with a bit more black to make it a bit darker, you can do that. And there we go. There is our painting. Again, you can make the trees more detailed, whatever you like, but that's kind of the gist of it. Even if you want to, like, I can see a little bit of the light in the yellow kind of on these trees back here. If you want to add a bit more black to that, totally up to you. But that's about it. So let's take off the tape, because that's always one of the best parts of doing these. That satisfaction of the peel and the crisp edge. And there we go. There is our August kind of cottage lake inspired painting. Thank you guys so much for watching, and thank you guys so much for your support in purchasing these subscription boxes. I really hope you're loving them. Until next month, happy painting, and I'll see you next time. Bye guys.